seen anything like this in my travels before, but we'll work with it. Hello everyone, good morning. My name is Herodotus. I am a Greek historian of the 5th century BC. I traveled around a lot of my life, trying to record more accurately different areas of the world so that you could all know about the cultures of my time. Now, I traveled to this one island, but I lost the manuscript. Now, thankfully, a man named C.S. Lewis. Anyone know him, C.S. Lewis? Yes, good, that's better. He found that lost chapter of mine, and I was very happy that he found it, because now I would like to share it with you. The story comes from a little island called Niatur. That's spelled Niatir. Now, the Niaturbians were very barbaric people who lived on an island about the same size and shape of Sicily, slightly bigger a little bit. Now, they had their own language, they had their own culture, everything, nothing I'd ever seen before, so it was quite amazing. I came around about the time, middle of the winter, when they were preparing for two festivals. They were preparing for Xmas and Christmas. Now those are spelled E-X-M-A-S and C-R-I-S-S-M-A-S. Now these Niaturbians that were preparing for Xmas prepared 50 days ahead of time. I don't know about you, but that seems like a long time to me. Now, in the Xmas, during preparation, every citizen is obliged to send friends and relatives a square piece of paper and stamped with a picture called an Xmas card. During this time of preparation, the marketplaces are crammed filled with people trying to get their own Christmas cards to send, or Xmas cards. This is known as the rush. Now, many Niaturbians return home thinking they've sent all their Xmas cards out and they're finished, they don't need to send anymore, they can sit down and rest their weary feet, only to find that another Xmas card on their doorstep from someone they did not send one to themselves. Now, when they find this Xmas card, they become so enraged they beat their breasts and wail and shout curses against the sender. Then they go out and buy one and send it. Make any sense to you? No, I didn't think so. Now, they also send gifts to each other. This is where the real suffering comes into play. Because not only are they cramming through all the people trying to buy Xmas cards, then they need to cram through the people trying to get their gifts. They try to send gifts of the same value that the person who sent them a gift sent, even if they can't afford it. They also try to buy unique gifts that no one else has ever sent before, which is where the vendors put forth the real ridiculous stuff they could never sell before because it's useless and gaudy, and no one wants it until Xmas. It's a huge waste of their scarce resources. They claim to have none, but every year they waste metal, leather, wood, and paper just on Xmas. Don't know why. Now, the oldest, the poorest, and the most miserable of these citizens decide they'll wear fake beards and walk around the marketplace in disguise and try to mooch off some people, out of the spirit of Xmas. Doesn't work too well. Sooner or later, the purchasers will grow weary and pale and very sick, but they keep going because they need to make sure they don't miss anyone who sends them a gift. Finally, they are so exhausted that on the day of Xmas, they sleep in until noon. They eat 5 times their normal portions of meals in the evening, and they become intoxicated, or hammered, or smashed, or wasted. Your choice of words, I don't care. From the day on and the day after, they are sick to their stomachs and cannot do a thing. And that is, my friends, Xmas for the Niaturbians. Now, there's another group of people who do not celebrate Xmas, they celebrate Christmas. It's the same day as Xmas, but they say it's not connected in any way. There's no affiliation there. And these people are quite different from the other people. They get up very, very early, and they go to their religious temples for a sacred feast. The temples set up images of a woman with a young child on her lap, and there are farm animals around them, and shepherds adoring the child. Confused, I went up to a priest and said, "What's going on here? What is the difference?" He said that Xmas and the rush distract the minds even of the few from sacred days. And we are indeed glad that men should make merry at Christmas. But in Xmas, there is no merriment left. So ends the story of the Neotergians. Does it sound familiar to anyone? Thought so. Pinned it to my shirt. Alright, we'll go with it. C.S. Lewis, in his book, God in the Dock, has a story called What Christmas Means to Me. And he says that there are 3 types of Christmas, each of which have their own unique identity. But the third one he condemns because it has 4 different problems. For number 1, there's more pain in it than there is pleasure. Many people grow worn out from all of this shopping, remembering where to buy gifts for, who to buy gifts for, cards for, and it just becomes a hassle in our daily lives. Most of it becomes involuntary because people send us gifts and we feel obligated to send them one of the same value. He thinks that's a little blackmail. Now, the third reason he doesn't like it is because he says the gifts are very useless. They're gaudy, nobody uses them, nobody likes them. They're just novelties, no real use. And finally, there's more errands on top of the other ones that we already have that just run us down into the ground until we can't do a thing. My question to you is, where on earth did Christmas go? Or better yet, where in us did Christmas go? Today you heard the reading of chapter 1. But did you notice that Mary didn't go out and buy a bunch of baby stuff when she heard that Jesus was going to be her child? She didn't go out and buy a bunch of corns and send it to everyone, hey, guess what? I'm going to have the Son of God. No, she sang a song of praise to God. That comes from Luke chapter 1, verses 46 to 56. In 2 Corinthians 9:7, it says, give happily, not sadly. We're not obligated to give gifts, and we shouldn't feel forced. It should be something that comes from us freely out of the joy of giving. Now, if you ever listen to me talk to anyone, you'll notice that I like taking words and breaking them apart and finding their traditional meaning from the root words. And I tried to do that with Christmas, and I couldn't find a real good one. But the closest I could get to it was that the 2 words were Christ and Mass. Literally translated, it means the Mass of Christ, or the festival of Christ, as some put it. I don't see that today. I don't see the celebration. I see the Xmas of the Neotergians. I see the rushing around, getting worn down, beating the crowds, trying to just be as greedy as possible so that we can get the best gifts and best deals before they can. There's an internet site called the Advent Conspiracy. And it brings attention to the problems of Christmas losing its identity as a Christian holiday.